Hi everybody, Lorraine here from Morris & Sons, and I'm delighted to be back in the Sydney store with Tal.
Hello.
Hi Tal, how are you?
Hi Lorraine, nice to see you again.
Thank you, nice to see you too. We're going to be talking about all things socks. Both of us love knitting socks. What are you knitting there, Tal?
I'm actually just halfway through. I've done one sock and it's just a little bit shorter, and I'm using this wonderful yarn called Regia, which comes with already computerized pattern, so you don't have to think.
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
It's never boring because every row is a different color, and I love that. I started making socks about a year ago, and I just became addicted, and I can't stop making socks.
Yeah.
And I've given them to many people for gifts, and they're just very special.
So what is it you love making socks?
I just love that concept of, I love learning how to use the double pointed needles, which I really enjoy. There's many other ways, but that's what I use. I just love the idea that it's just so clever. You end up with a fabric and suddenly you've got something you can wear on your feet.
Yeah.
The heel is really interesting, so you're never bored making the sock, and then you learn a different technique for the toe. So it's just a bit of a challenge, but once you know, it's magical actually. Every time I make a pair of socks, I'm just very impressed.
Yeah.
So
and
I
a
love
really
it.
nice size project too, isn't
Absolutely. A little bag. I take it with me if I'm on the bus or the train, or if I'm waiting. I always have my bag of socks. And
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
Look, so I'm currently knitting socks for my son.
That looks lovely.
So I'm using the Rowan sock yarn, and I'm just knitting him little shorties. I'm a very time poor mum, so I actually love socks because it's a project I can get finished and I can give it to my kids or family members, which is lovely. But I'm the same as you, so you'll find me knitting at music lessons or weekend soccer, or it's just the perfect size to fit in a bag.
And it's lovely. That length is great because it's a good, if you're practicing, you can make lots of little short socks just to get the technique going, and then off you go.
Hilariously though, I finished the first sock. I was very proud. I gave it to my son who's 9 years old, and I said, "I made your sock, let's try it on, see if it fits." Fit perfectly. And then he turned around and said, "Just for future reference, Mum, I actually like my socks to be a little bit longer."
There we go. Putting orders in already.
So socks are really interesting from a historical point of view. What do you know about that, Tal?
I think the little bit I know is during the First and Second World War, sad to say, a lot of men ended up in hospital with all sorts of different injuries, and so they decided to teach them how to make socks as a form of therapy to just calm their mind. And so they were just being engrossed in the actual knitting and the process, and it helped immensely in their mental health and improving. So lots and lots of men learned how to make socks. But in the past, women just would knit socks for war for their soldiers. That was from the beginning, because they were wonderful wool. You know, poor guys were in that freezing cold, and the wool kept them warm and cozy.
I mean, handmade socks, they're so warm, aren't they? If you want to keep your feet warm, that's definitely the way to go.
Definitely. I'd notice if I wear normal socks, my feet are freezing. As soon as I put these on, and we've also got cotton for summer or for lighter weather, so fantastic. And they're very sturdy and strong, you know. So
they are. I actually, I had a lovely trip back to Ireland recently, and I spoke to my 93-year-old grandmother, who told me about their family tradition whenever she was very, very young, that the socks would get made for the winter at one time. So she was actually at boarding school. She'd come home, I think it was October, and the mum would get ready to knit the socks for the whole family, and it was just a sock making period. It was a combination of hand knitting the socks and machine knitting the socks, which is also really interesting.
And I suppose in those days, everything had to be made by hand, because we didn't have shops and markets.
I think, however, the wool was quite itchy. I don't think it was quite the beautiful yarns.
The
that
yarns
we have
these
here.
days are completely. That's the beauty of the yarns. They're just, even though all sock yarn has a bit of polyamide in it, so that you can make it washable. The texture is just wonderful.
And I think the polyamide, it adds durability as well, doesn't it, whenever you're wearing it?
Absolutely.
And, I love the fact that you can machine wash them. So when you give them as a gift, if the receiver doesn't quite know how to look after their woolens,
you just pop them in a little bag, pop them in the machine. And these days machines are wonderful and gentle anyway. But I've washed mine constantly, and they just come out as new. So very impressed.
And why do you think socks are the perfect project for anybody?
I just think I think people are not used to getting something that's handmade. So you're not making a huge jumper or something massive. A gorgeous pair of socks, people just get a thrill out of it. Whenever you give socks to people, they just can't believe A, that you actually made it, and B, that, you know, it's just the design and everything about it is just, so it's just a perfect gift. It's small, it's not too expensive. and you enjoy making it.
Yeah.
And look at, we're in June now, so hey, Christmas is literally around the corner.
Yes.
Start making your socks.
Get making your socks, yeah.
Absolutely. And one ball always will make a pair of socks, and you've got enough there to make men's, women's, kids' socks. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, that's really
400 metres is generally the ball of wool. Oh, and one more thing. If you're making a lot of socks, you'll always have a little bit left over. You then get it all together and just make some crazy socks. Perfect.
Okay, so
No
you've
waste.
heard it here.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to get knitting socks. It's the perfect project for any time of year, and you know, wool is just so beautiful and soft and natural to have on your foot. It keeps you warm, but it's also breathable.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's a nice project that you can actually finish and get a lot of satisfaction when you give it as a gift.
Totally.
So Tal and I are going to be talking a lot about socks in the upcoming weeks. There are so many different aspects to chat about. So if you'd like to find out more, join us, follow us on our YouTube and leave a comment below.